We're all good. So there, close enough. So let's take a white brush. That's better, much better. Okay. So how do I describe it? We're going to divide it into 3 little categories, and I'm going to use these little, it's not full lines, but they're little dotted lines, because it's not all set in stone black and white, all right? So what we have on the left side are the fanboys and girls. BB, this is black and white. Shut up. All right. Pay attention. I'm trying to make a point here. All right, so we got the fanboys on the left side. And then on the right side, we have the haters. All right. So here, I want to make this A like a little bit better, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to. I gotta make this black again. And then I gotta like boop, boop, right. A, N. Okay, there we go. A little bit better. You're a fanboy. I'm the biggest fanboy of Kingdom Hearts that ever lived. And then you have what's known as the middle ground. The fan games. I like when streamers go to MS Paint, dude. Me too. It's a pastime, dude. It's a pastime. Don't I have a tablet? Yeah, but I don't want to like. That's too much work. So I'm just gonna use my mouse. I'm lazy, but I'm trying to make a point here.
Look at how bad your middle ground looks.
Oh my god.
Look at this shit.
So, so you have your separate little lines, all right? And you got your haters, and the haters are generally people that are, I mean, they just kind of hate on the KH series just because, you know, it's funny. It's fun. It's funny. It's like it's basically the equivalent of hating on it because, like, oh, lol, Disney, it's like a kid's game. It's for babies. This is like, you know, it's like a baby version of anime. Like, when's Kairi gonna show her tits? Like, come on, dude. I want a more serious Kingdom Hearts game, or I want a more mature adult Kingdom Hearts game, or some shit like that. So they just do it. You hate on it. You hate on the series, like, you just mindlessly, with like no basis, with no reasoning really, just for fun, basically. That's typically what haters are like. Is they just kind of hate. They just kind of do it for fun. That's the idea. All right. And you got the fanboys and girls who love the game to tears, to pieces. Like they absolutely love the series, and they find very little fault with the game, if at all. Most games are like a 9 out of 10 or an 8 out of 10, and most people will probably tell you that Recoded is the worst in the game, the worst in the series, because it has the worst story, which it does. But yeah, I mean, and they will find no fault in the game, and if they do, they just like kind of shove it under the rug and just don't really talk about it. Like, there's no reason to talk about it because there's so much good about the game. Why should we talk about anything that's bad about it? And if you bring up anything negative about the series, you will be labeled a hater. If you bring up anything negative with the series, you will be labeled a hater, and you will be labeled as somebody who just doesn't, who hates hype and wants to just kill the hype train for no reason. Basically, you get crucified. Yeah. And then you have the middle ground. All right, and this kind of varies. You can have people that are on, you know, different sides of the spectrum here. You kind of have the middle ground people that are like, you know, they're more positive about the series, and they typically find less fault with the game, but they aren't like, just closing their eyes and ignoring all the faults with the game. They see all the faults with the game and they acknowledge them and they accept them. And these are, generally pretty level-headed people. And they might sometimes get... I'm drawing constellations with my dots. I guess so. This is kind of like... This is, the spectrum that I typically see people like Dean on. Like, Sora Alam or something like that. Sora... Oh my god, this is horrible. Sora Alam... 1. There we go. Typically, this is like, this is kind of how I see Dean. He's typically in this little area right here where, he sees little fault with the game. I mean, he sees that there is potential fault with the game and that Nomura may not have like everything planned out from the very beginning. But he, he accepts the games and he thinks that the majority of them are really good, and it's really hard because. And then you have what is it? And then you have the people that are kind of like cynical about the series to a degree, and they find a lot of fault with the game, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they don't enjoy the games. These people actually do enjoy the games and they play them and they pay attention and they do actually, give a shit about the story and shit like that. But they find a lot of fault with the series, and they're not afraid to actually voice their opinions on where the fault is. Chaotic neutral. And this is where I live. This is where I live. This is my little domain. All right, this is me. All right, this is where I live. Happy face. There we go. Me too, bud. That's me. This is where I live. I live a little bit more on the cynical side, but I wouldn't associate myself with the retarded haters that are just, they've got, the big theories on why the series is super bad, and like they're just doing it to get attention and shit like that. Like, no, I'm not really doing it for attention. It's just that I find fault with the series and I'm not really afraid to voice that. And if I do voice my distress with the series, it's typically because I love the series and I want to see it be better. The problem is that if you live in the middle ground, it's a really hard life. It's a really rough life for you in the middle ground, because if you say anything bad about the series, if you try and be analytical whatsoever about the series, and you try and say, oh, this is kind of how I feel about the series, and I feel like this could have been a little bit better, or like, I really think that the combat that they did in Birth by Sleep could have been different, and that the command deck was really kind of stupid, and they should have rebalanced it or done something different. And if you say anything like that, if you say anything analytical, then the fanboys over here will see, they will peer over into your little world, your little middle ground level, and they will see that you're talking shit about the series. You're talking mad shit by saying anything negative about the series, and then they will lump you in the middle ground to over here, and they will lump you and they will lump you all the way over here with all the haters. And that's kind of it's kind of a hard life when you're trying to just, have a, somewhat level-headed discussion and genuinely express how you feel about the series and try and bring up evidence about the series that you think, proves your point. And the moment that you do, and the moment you try and be analytical and you try and criticize the series, you just get lumped as a hater, and you just hate the series, and you just like, why do you even play the games? Why do you even enjoy why do you even play this game? Why do you even play this series? Why not just play a different series if you just hate the series so much? And it's a hard knock life. And I'm not trying to say that that haters aren't at fault either, because I'm sure that the fanboys and people in the middle ground on the positive end of the spectrum, I'm sure that these people see, this is horrible drawing. I'm sure that this little group over here in this little dotted area, I'm sure they see plenty of haters on Facebook or social media or on Twitter talking all this mad shit with their nuclear takes on the series and how garbage it is and like how I'm so original for hating on the series, trying to get mad views and attention and shit like that. And I'm sure that they see a bunch of these fucking haters, and I'm sure that they exist, and that it's really, really rough when you're trying to love your series so much, but you see all these haters just hating on you for no fucking reason. But then what happens a lot of the time is what they see here in the middle ground and what they see in the haters' realm blends together. To them, here, let me draw this little line thingamabob right there, and then we'll just, what is it? We'll bring out the, there we go. Oh, shoot. What? Why can't I? Okay, there we go. Wish I could make it bigger. Maybe I should just use the fill-in tool. There we go. What will happen is, so stay with me here. What will happen is that the middle ground and the haters will start to bleed together, according to the fanboys. And anybody that hates on the series, or like, they'll unknowingly see the criticism that the middle ground throws out, which usually is pretty fair, and they'll see the criticism that the haters give, which is just bullshit, and they'll just kind of lump it all together. And any sort of criticism about the game is just, you know, an attack on the series. Like, you just hate the series and you want to see it do poorly or something like that, or you only want the game to be like KH2FM, or you only want to see the game be like this. Why not just accept it for how it is, etc. That sort of shit. Social psychology with Professor Bloody Biscuits. So yeah, I don't know. That's I'm trying to. Why did I even do this? I'm trying to go back and think about why. But somebody mentioned something about the series, and it just immediately brought me back to how I see the Kingdom Hearts series, just the different communities and the different chunks of the series. So yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of this is my take on the fandom of the series so far. It's just generally how it looks to me.